We're going to get started. So thank you so much for coming today. It is 7:03. It is my goal to try to get you out of here in 30 minutes, if not more or shorter than that. We've got a lot of important things to do tonight. My name is Kevin Bruni. I'm the athletic director at Grand Rapids Christian Middle School. This is my 12th year being part of Grand Rapids Christian Middle, and it is an honor and a privilege to serve you and your family through sports at Grand Rapids Christian, where our philosophy is to help kids enjoy athletics, to learn skills, to have the opportunity to participate, be part of teams, to capture hearts for Jesus through athletics, something that your child hopefully enjoys being a part of, help them learn to overcome and take on obstacles, to manage the challenges that come with athletics. You will feel them, your child will feel them. Those are good things for us to go through. And it's important that we all partner together to manage those things well, put Christ on display. So that's what we try to do through middle school athletics. And man, if we can figure some of those things out during our time together in middle school, we're going to enjoy our high school experiences so much more. And so I'm excited to be here. I'd like to start us in a word of prayer to get us going tonight. God, thank you for this day. Thank you for the opportunity to be here in a meeting to talk about your kids, your school, your athletic program. May we listen well tonight. Start to think a little bit, maybe rethink about the things that we are trying to do as parents and leaders to put you on display in a positive way, a way that makes being a Jesus follower attractive to others. We're grateful for the chance to spend time together and to be part of Grand Rapids Christian. And we pray that you bless our time tonight. In your name we pray. Amen. So thank you so much again for being here. I have muted everybody, no offense to anyone, but sometimes people will come in and out of your background, and that can be distracting, and you weren't expecting it. So I just have everybody on mute. If you have a question, you can unmute yourself and ask me a question. You can also type it in that little box I was telling you about at the bottom of your screen that looks kind of like a caption. So you can put something in there too. So first of all, tonight, I want to talk briefly and share my screen with you on something about the progression of 5th through 8th grade athletics in Grand Rapids Christian Middle School. We go from, in this meeting, just so everybody's aware, we have people from 5th grade up to 8th grade in this meeting. So there's different aspects to this program. Things change a lot between 5th and 8th grade. It's important everybody understands that. We come from recreation program, K-4, where everything is equal. It's not real serious. We're not really caring a whole lot about winning, and we're just trying to get kids reps, right? Get kids opportunities to explore. And then we end up going to high school, which is highly competitive, right? We're competing at the highest levels, trying to win, of course, trying to capture hearts for Jesus, but it's certainly much more competitive in the high school level, and there's cuts and all these things. And then we have this middle school section where our job is to get you from everything is all equal and not very serious to this level of very serious things are happening in athletics. Okay. And so the approach that I call is kind of like a stair step approach, right? The goal in all 4 of our levels is to win. We want to win and be excellent. It is not the main goal. It is not the only goal. If that is your only goal, you and I will probably not see eye to eye very well, right? We want to make sure that the main goal is growth and excitement and encouragement for putting Christ on display in a positive way in competitive athletics. The world is super messed up when it comes to competitive athletics. And man, if we can't make a huge impact by being a little bit different than everybody else, doing things maybe a little bit better than what the norm is in youth sports at Grand Rapids Christian. We put that C on our shirts, put that C on our car, and we represent Grand Rapids Christian. We represent our Lord. And it's important that we think about that and do that in a very good way, especially during these years where we're just trying to grow and learn in athletics. There is no World Series championships. There is no college football national titles, and there is no NBA championship being played for this year. It's just something for us to try to grow as parents and as kids through this middle school process. So it's this stair-step approach that I want to share with you and put on the screen for you today so that I can talk you through it real quick, and then we'll move on to the next thing. So here is what it looks like. This is kind of an idea for you of what it is. In 5th and 6th grade, we try to split our teams equally. So we go from this, like everything is equal all the time, to like we're going to split teams equal. Playing time, though, is never equal anymore, like it was in rec. So even at 5th and 6th, it's not equal playing time. There's a minimum required, which is 6 minutes in all 4 grades, as you can see by the league. 6 minutes of basketball playing time is required. but it's certainly not equal. Days of the week, 5th and 6th grade, in rec sports, we did kind of one practice, one game day. Now we get up to 3 days a week in 5, 6. Sometimes you'll have a 4th day in 6th grade, depending on how the schedule works out in a given week, but largely 3 days a week. 7th and 8th grade, at the same time, we start doing developmentally appropriate A teams and B teams. And again, playing time is not equal in those situations. We shouldn't be expecting that anymore. And one of the main reasons for that is simply that all of the players on a team deserve and want to play with the best player on that team, which literally means the best player has to be out there more often than some of the others, right? And so we have to make sure that we understand it's not going to be equal everything, but everybody will get that 6 minute. And the way that we try to talk about that, and your coach will talk about this in your meeting, is if your child is showing up, has a good attitude, is working their butt off all the time, and they're not one of the premier players, we want to try to beat that minimum for them because they're doing all of the right things the right way. And so that's our goal. Coach's goal is to try to beat those minimums whenever possible, as long as team size and situation allow, to try to reward kids for behaving the right way. And at the same time, if your child is even the most talented, but not having a good attitude, not showing up and not doing their best, they may play less than what the team needs them to play, simply because we don't want to encourage those poor behaviors. And so again, that's up to the coach, and something that we will always talk about between me and you right now, to kind of give you a good idea of what that's like. But we do have A and B teams in 8th grade. As you see there, all levels. Once you're on it, once you sign up and you are in a tryout or you're in a team formation situation and you get placed on a team, you don't look at that team and say, yeah, I don't want to play anymore. That we can't run a program that way. We can't be the best athletic program in the state if we're going to have people opting in and out based on whatever they think they want to do. Okay. It's not club sports. We signed up, we're in, we commit. Okay. Got to attend all the practices. It's not optional practice anymore. We got to be there. Our teams cannot get better if people don't attend practices. We want to win. We want to be our best. But if people don't show up, especially on a regular basis, if they're not showing up and skipping for things or just not coming, that's not acceptable. We got to do that. And that's how we respect each other, is by honoring those commitments. The coaches are managed by me, the athletic director. They're not managed by parents. Some of them may be a parent, but they're hired in an official capacity. So they're managed by me as the athletic director. They sign up to love and care for and teach your child the game. That's it. Don't project differently. Don't think that there's some kind of agenda being worked on here or something like that. Obviously, I would never allow that to occur. If I sense something like that is happening, you can trust me that I'm going to be addressing that with the coach. That's not what the coach is supposed to do, and not what we would allow them to do. Parents, as you see in the third there, do not talk to coaches about playing time. It's not something that's going to occur. A parent's job is not that. How the coach runs the team is not the parent's role to decide. It's the coach's job to decide, and my job to manage with the coach. And so we want to make sure that we're doing that just the same way that we wouldn't ask, the coach to come and critique how you parent your child because they see your child for an hour and a half a couple times a week. So now they think they know what should happen in your family. We would never allow a coach to do that to a parent. And we want to make sure we have the same respect for a parent talking to a coach about a sport. And so those are just a couple things for us to remember. The other thing is we want to make sure that parents do not talk to other teams in a negative way, to the officials in a negative way, or another team's coaches in another way. Honestly, I bring this up every year because the first year that we had basketball and I was the athletic director, we had parents walk into the opposing team's locker room and yell at them because Grand Rapids Christian doesn't agree with how that team is playing. And that was super embarrassing and also totally inappropriate, to point out whatever they thought we were superior to someone behaviorally about. So we're just not going to do that. If you have a complaint or an issue about something that happens in the league, just let me know. My role is to manage that through the league in the proper channels, and there's a way for me to do that. So please make sure that you're, really positive to the officials. We'll talk about that in a little bit, the coaches and the other teams. Or if you don't have anything good to say, my mom always told me don't say it at all. So that's an option too. So that's kind of the basics of this stair-step approach, where we kind of take you from a non-competitive situation to a highly competitive situation. As far as the length of games, 5th and 6th grade, I didn't put this on there, is 4 6-minute quarters. 7th and 8th grade is the same as a high school game, 4 8-minute quarters. for basketball. So again, that steps up too as we get a little bit older. So that's just kind of the basics, and I wanted to make sure that you guys understood a little bit about, the program and how we're trying to get you up to the right level as far as getting to the high school level. And I do fully understand that some of your children don't have a dream to play in high school, and that's okay. This is a place for them too. All right. So a couple things to expect throughout the season. Number one, there's something called Teamsnap. If you've been involved in athletics at Grand Rapids Christian, you're familiar with Teamsnap. It's a way that we manage our schedules and manage our emailing to you. There's alerts on there that remind you of practices and things. So once you're placed on a team, you will be invited to Teamsnap by your coach. And all you have to do is accept that invite, and then it will ask you if you want to add other people. So some of you email me like, hey, can you add this person and this person and this person? It's like, no, just do it yourself when we get to Teamsnap, right? You can put as many people and cell phone numbers in there as you want. Practice schedules, those will all be on Teamsnap. Your coaches will send you the team formation schedule before Saturday is over this week, because we start on Monday, the 21st. So your coach will get that to you. If you haven't seen it yet, that's okay, because our coach meeting is tonight. And so we're going to be covering those things, and then they'll be sending those things out on Thursday or Friday or Saturday so that you are fully aware of what's going to happen for basketball and what time and at what location during next week's short week because of fall break. Okay. But the regular schedules will be loaded into Teamsnap for you. The game schedules are not available yet. The league is still putting those together, but they will load those into Teamsnap as well. So your place to get information is Teamsnap, and you will have a dedicated coach, meaning at first, like my son is in 6th grade, there's going to be one coach emailing on behalf of 3 coaches about the team formation. Once teams are formed, then you will have one particular coach that you can work with regularly for questions about communication, practice times, show up times, uniform colors, all the things that you want to know. Just email and work with that coach. They're your person. If they don't know the answer to something, they'll ask me. Okay. So that's kind of what to expect as far as communication, schedules, things like that. Working with coach is a critical thing. I've coached for almost 20 years. I've coached for almost 40 seasons in my life. I'm currently the varsity boys golf coach in Grand Rapids Christian. So I am fully immersed in coaching. And I want you to know, first and foremost, the power that you have as a parent over a coach. And I don't want you to take that lightly. I've been coaching a long time. I've been an AD. I have more experience than most people working with parents. And I can tell you that because of previous scars in my life as a coach from parents, whenever any parent emails me, I get a shot of adrenaline through my system. And I think, oh my gosh, what's going wrong? And why are they going to be mad at me? Like, that is the immediate thing that I think when I see a parent email. And the same thing on a text, right? Like, whether that's fair or not, the people before you have set that into motion into coaches. So I need you to understand, like, when you communicate with the coach, it's critical that you be understanding that you have that effect on a coach simply by choosing to push send on any email or any text, that they are afraid of what's going to happen. And I can't speak for every coach, but I'm pretty darn sure, if I've been doing it this long, that most people are that way. And I'll tell you what, coaches never quit because of the kids. Coaches quit because of the parents. And man, do I want Grand Rapids Christian to be a different place than that. So I plead that out of you. Just be aware of the power that you have. So largely, I'll tell you, our parents do a great job managing that power. They do a great job overall. There's always a parent or two who kind of makes the mistake of stepping outside the lines of what I'm going to be telling you about in the next minute or two. And it's never a good situation. It gets people confused and excited and worked up, and it gives people tough situations. So that's why I talk about this with everybody, because I'm protective of coaches, because I myself am a coach. And second, I'm an athletic director, and I try to find coaches that can serve your kids. And finding elite coaches is almost impossible. Finding good coaches is a miracle. And finding people that will just help and serve and love kids is what we're after. And so they all start there. And then my hope is to be able to help them become those great coaches and those elite coaches over time, but they need time to develop too. Okay. Now in basketball this year, we are fortunate that we have a ton of experienced coaches that have a ton of experience in basketball and coaching. So we are very lucky on the boys' side of basketball to have some great people. And I need you to know that up front. Trust these people. Make sure that you know that they are here to love and support your kid. There's no sinister motives. There's no politics. One of the things I hear people say all the time is, well, I didn't want to, say a thing, right? Because it's politics and this is going to happen. Well, we're never going to be a successful community if that's how we operate. I want you to know, first and foremost, there's no politics going on. And if I sense that, I'll be all over it with our coaches. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about is like every parent, and I know this because I'm a parent of a player, is I want a coach to be patient with my son, to teach my son, to see a future in a opportunity that my son maybe doesn't see for himself, and to encourage him in that path. And I think I speak for all of you in that sense, right? I don't know if there's one person in here who's like, no, I don't want a coach to believe that way about my kid. We all want coaches to believe in our kids, to see a little more in our kids than they see in themselves and try to push them toward it, to encourage them, be patient, give them grace. I need to ask that from you too, as a parent. If you expect a coach to do that to your son, we need you to provide that same grace, patience, encouragement to the coach, and see the best in coach instead of maybe the worst, which is what youth sports would tell us, or even professional sports would tell us, is see the worst and pick it apart. Now, we want to be different, right? And so what I'm telling you is, please make sure that you do that. Love our coaches, care for them, offer to help them, be patient with their decisions. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to be perfect. People aren't going to make the play call that you want them to make. They're not going to make the sub you want them to make. I coached basketball for 16 seasons up to the varsity level. And I watch some of the coaches coach my son's team, and I don't agree with everything, but you know what I say about it? I don't say anything about it as a dad, right? I don't, because I want to make sure that that coach has the opportunity to learn, to grow, to live with their situations, to live with their choices. And so that's something as a parent I have to be careful about. I want to remind you, a great experience is everything. It's frustration, it's excitement, it's winning, it's losing, it's success, it's failure. There's no great movie about a sports team where they have the best team, they win every game, and then the movie's over, right? There's no movie like that. All of the best stories, the best experiences occur with goods and bads in there. So don't rob your child of some of those tough moments where they get to experience, I wish I would have played more. And instead of bailing them out, you challenge them and say, well, what do you think you can do? How could you help more? What do you think you need to ask coach about? Right? Let them live in those tough moments so that when they find the better moment, it's a celebration, right? But the good experiences involve all of those things. Okay. Not just the good, not just the championships. It all involves all of it. Okay. Give the coach benefit of the doubt and ask questions. The hardest thing as a coach is when parents try to tell me a certain thing, or when someone tells me the way that I felt or the way that I did a thing in this situation. The best thing that a parent can do if they're trying to talk about a challenging situation with me is to ask a question and try to gain understanding, right? I'd like to ask you about this. I was wondering this, that sort of thing. But partner with them by asking questions. That's showing respect to them for their position, and also allowing them to, provide information for you that can help you, right? Instead of you just making a judgment about a situation. And we all know that positive reinforcement is critical. So be positive with coaches. Coaches gain confidence with positivity, just like players gain confidence with positivity, right? We can't be falsely positive, but at the same time, when something is good or a team does play hard, even if they didn't play well, let's let coach, hey, coach, you're doing a great job helping those kids play hard, right? Give them the positivity they need to continue to have that fire in them to keep going. And then lastly, we want to talk about being a spectator. Basketball, I mean, y'all know this. Basketball fans get crazy. They do. Doesn't matter what sport, like what level you're watching, basketball fans get crazy. And no offense, but especially the parents, right? The general fan, is wild, but the parents, because of their connection to the emotion of the situation, it's even harder. And so I always like to just talk a little bit about being a spectator. And there's a couple things I think are critical. Number one, I want to say we had a great fall in volleyball and soccer. I was around those things a lot. Our parents were fantastic supporters of our teams. Largely, not entirely, but largely, we're much more concerned with being effective and helping our kids and our coaches than they were about proving to a coach or someone else that they were right about a bad call that was made or something like that. So just want to address being a spectator and encourage you, like, we do this really well, better than most schools. And I'll tell you, I get emails from other principals that say, I was at the game when your team was at our gym and your school was amazing. They were so positive. Your coaches were so positive. And there is no greater compliment than us putting a C on our chest, representing Christ and representing Grand Rapids Christian, and getting that reaction from people that see us. Like, that is the greatest thing we can do as a body of believers that are competitors, is to behave in such a way that people have to tell us, you guys were amazing at how you supported. Not, hey, you guys are supposed to be Christian and this is how you behave. That's another email I get. It's less fun. Okay. So let's try to work on that. So first, love the officials, right? Officials, the average age of an official is almost 60 years old in basketball. And why do you think that is? Well, the answer is that young people have watched adults treat officials a certain way. And now they're the young adults that are thinking about getting into officiating. They're like, there's no chance I'm going to go submit myself to that kind of treatment. And so we have all the same old officials officiating. And none of the younger officials are doing it. Now, I'm going to tell you, in our league, we do a big push at Grand Rapids Christian to help our students get involved in officiating. We work with the colleges to get young people involved. And we don't need them to get ridiculed and drilled by parents when they're trying to learn how to be an official. So love them. Even if they're the worst official ever, tell them, thanks for being here and thanks for officiating for us today so we could have a game. That'd be a really positive way for you to encourage someone to come back and officiate again, because we have games canceled at the high school level due to no officials. Sometimes we only get one official in Gracie because there's no officials. We have to treat people well, especially at our school. I would love for people to say, when officials get the assignment to go to Grand Rapids Christian Middle School, that they say, oh, yes, I get to go there. Those people are not crazy and they treat us well. Like, that is one of the greatest things. That's why we have a lot of repeat officials. You'll notice this year we get a lot of repeat officials at our gym because they request to be at our gym. Okay. And so please make sure that you're treating officials well. And also remember, like, this is a middle school league. We don't have great officials in high school. And so who do you think we get in the middle school? we get all the people who are learning how to officiate, or we get people that maybe weren't good enough to officiate regularly in high school. So they're in middle school trying to get better. So the best thing you can do is go into it and say to yourself, I'm just going to support kids today. I'm not going to worry about officials. And that's how I go into every game as a dad and as a coach. And I got to fight against my natural bent to get mad at an official. But it's still my goal and my attitude is I'm here to support kids, support our coaches, and put Christ on display, right? Worry less about the officials. We can't control them anyway. And if you yell at them, it's not going to help us. They're probably just going to get more mad at us and give us less calls. Because when I officiated, that's what I did. When a coach yelled at me, I gave them less calls. When a fan yelled at me and I knew what school they were from, I gave less, right? So it doesn't help to do that, all right? A second thing that I want to put out here is Jim Voss is one of our 6th grade coaches this year, longtime 8th grade coach. He always talks about coaching from the bleachers being a lose-lose situation. So myself, as I said, I'm a varsity basketball coach. I probably know better than a lot of the coaches that are going to coach for middle school. I played college basketball, so I have more experience at a higher level than pretty much everyone you're going to see. And what I do not do is coach from the bleachers, even though I know. I used to think it was a good idea because I know and I can help. But the problem is the kids have to decide, am I going to listen to the guy in the stands or am I going to listen to my coach? And this is a lose-lose situation for your child, because if they listen to the guy in the stands, coach gets mad. And if coach gets mad about that, that's not helping the team. It's probably going to give your kid less playing time, right? Because they're not paying attention to coach. It's going to make the team worse. If the kid doesn't listen to the dad or the mom in the stands and they listen only to the coach, then the parent is trying to coach them and they're not listening. Now they're in trouble with mom and dad. So either way, when we begin to step outside our bounds from supporter and encourager to I'm going to tell you what to do and how to do it, now we put the kid in a situation where they can't win because they can't listen to dad or mom in the stands and they can't listen to coach and do both things at the same time because those two people don't know what each other are doing. And so we put the child in a terrible situation. So I want to encourage you, fight the urge to coach from the stands. Coach after the game, coach in the car if you want to. I encourage you not to do that, but coach in the car if you want to. Coach them the next day when you're shooting around in the driveway. Coach them all the time. But when the coach is present, allow your child to be released to that coach's leadership. Whether you fully love the strategy of that coach or not is not important. What's important is you allow your child to have the experience they're going to have with a coach and a team. Okay. The last thing here is kind of about being right or being effective, which is a lot of times I like to be right and it's not very effective. There's a lot of choices I get to make where I can choose to be effective and maybe not prove that I'm right about something. And it is always right to choose to be effective. It is not always right to choose to make sure everyone knows that you're right. That can mess things up, but it is always right to choose to be effective. And so what I mean by that is if something's not going right on the team, you can be right and say to your kid, hey, yeah, coach doesn't know how to do this. He should have subbed this. He should have done that. The refs did this. We can say all the things that are right, but maybe that's not very effective in the situation. The choice is, do you want to be right and make sure that people know how right you are about everything? They don't have the right strategy. They didn't call the right play call. They had bad substitutions. I would have done this. I would have done that, right? That's the choice to be right. And none of those situations build a better situation for our kids. All they do is break things down. More importantly is, yeah, I know that's frustrating, son. But just keep doing what you can do. Keep getting better. Keep encouraging your teammates. When you're out there, run the plays the coach is trying to run. Do the things you're supposed to do. You get to control your effort, your attitude, your respect, your competitiveness, your focus. You get to control so many things. Make sure you do that instead of being right and selling out a coach or selling out an official and causing a negative situation. So the choice to be effective is always right. It's often not right to choose to make sure that everybody knows how right you are and how wrong someone else is. So I hope that makes sense to you. Something that's really critical as we go about life. And if you pay close attention to that, try to be effective more often than right, and you probably have a much happier life. And a general reminder, we're going to have some kids that are doing club sports. Some of you in here have kids that are doing other sports at the same time as we're doing basketball. And this is middle school, and we want kids to be participating in a lot of things. And so please participate in those things. Here's what I'm going to ask, and your coach is going to reiterate this. If we've got 5 conflicts between practices, games, whatever, with your club and our schedule, and there's a conflict between a game for your club and a game for us, and there's 3 of those, we'd like for you to make 2 for us and 1 for them, simply because our season is short and your child means a lot to our team, and those club seasons are often quite a bit longer. If there's a game for us and a practice for the club, we'd like you to make our game. If there's a practice for us and a game for your club, go to your game, right? Like we understand that, okay? We're not going to be a club and say to you, if you don't give every single second the way we want it, you're kicked off the team, because that's not good for kids. We're out for the good of student athletes, okay? And so respect that we want to work with you. But for our 8-week season, we're going to request that you lean into us a little bit without giving up the other thing. We were going to request that you lean into us and say to your club coach, this is both important to us. And since the season is short, we need you to work with us. That's what we request. I would love for all the clubs to know that Grand Rapids Christian stands up for themselves a little bit. That would be fantastic. Okay. So as we begin on Monday, Monday and Tuesday will be team formation for all 4 grades. Our goal as coaches is going to be able to see enough in those 2 days. So if you You need to make sure your child is at the practices those 2 days, because we're going to try to see enough in those 2 days to make teams before and during that long fall break that we have. So that the week after, the week of the 28th, we can start with our individual dedicated teams and start getting practice as a team. So we need to make sure everybody's there. In 5th grade, we're going to have 3 teams equally split. There's about 34 players. In 6th grade, we're going to have 3 teams because there's 27 players. So there's going to be 9 per team. The minimum you can have on a team is 8 to in the league. In 7th grade, we're going to have 2 teams, A and B, 21 players. And in 8th grade, we're going to have 2 teams, A and B, 25 players. And the reason for that is simply we want to make sure that as many kids as can get an A experience, get an A experience. And if we go to 3 teams of 8, it kind of breaks down that opportunity for a lot of kids. And we have to split the B teams equal, which makes neither of those teams very competitive when we do that. So we're going to go with 2 teams that are a little bigger. It's a full high school length game, so there's a lot of minutes. People will still get plenty of playing time. And we're looking forward to that in 8th grade. And please know, it's not going to be perfect. The coaches and I talk a lot with our team formation on A and B of what's the best way to develop the student athletes. There's always that moment where it's like, do we put this person as a main player on a B team, or do we put them as a very limited role player on an A team? And people will always say, I'd rather be on the A. And I'm going to tell you, that's not always best. Sometimes being the main guy on the B team is way better for development for all of the players, but also for your son to get the reps and the opportunities. If there's 3 point guards already on the A team and your kid is a point guard, we want them on the B team so they can get point guard reps. If they're the 4th point guard, even though they might be the 11th best player on the team, it might be better for them to be a B player and get reps at point guard because they can actually get the reps. If your kid's a shooter and they're the, like maybe like for me, I wasn't a very athletic player when I played and I was a good shooter, but I couldn't get in the game because I wasn't athletic enough. So I didn't get a lot of reps. And so I would have been better for me to be on a B team where I got to play all the time and got more reps and learned how to play and how to take the shots and make the shots. So our coaches are not only thinking about who's the top 10 or 11 in those A and B teams, they're also thinking about if that person becomes our 10th or 11th, are they going to develop in a way that's going to give them the best chance to make a high school team? And so I want you to know a lot more goes into it than just, well, he's one of the top 10. That may be true, but we also have to be able to play that person. And if we can't play them, sometimes it's better for them to be B because, again, we don't hang banners and trophies out here. We're trying to develop student athletes so they have the best opportunity to be successful at the next level that they're trying to go to. So that's just a little bit of a framework for you. I want to take some time to answer any questions that people might have about some of the things that we're discussing tonight, or even some nuts and bolts about, next week and team formation, things like that. I'm going to check the chat. And so go ahead and somebody says in here, does anyone get cut? No one gets cut in Grand Rapids Christian Middle School. Everybody makes a team. Okay. That's why we have A and B at the 7th and 8th grade level. It's also why we split equal and make more teams in the lower grades so that everybody gets an opportunity to participate. There's another one here. Somebody is going to be missing the second day of tryouts. If we can avoid that in any possible way, it helps us make our team so that we have a better season. So communicate well with your coach. And make sure that that happens. But man, we really don't want to miss anybody on either of those only 2 days of team formation opportunities. This third question in here was, if we have somebody in our family who's injured and is signed up to play basketball, how do we handle tryouts? We want that child to come and be in the tryouts as best as they can. Now, some people, I know there's one child who has a broken ankle. That person can't participate, but we're going to place them on a team because they can still, be connected to the team and still work on some skills throughout the year if they're part of the team and be a part of, all of those things. So yes, you should have your child come to the tryout, be an active and willing participant. All the best teams have people contributing no matter what their situation is. And if everybody contributes the best in their role, our teams have the best chance to be successful. So if you want to pull your child completely out of the season, you can do that. But if you want them to participate at some point, we want them at the tryout days. Okay. The 5th grade practice will be at Iroquois. The 6th, 7th, and 8th grade team formations and practices will all be at GR Christian Middle School. Your coach, again, will send out that information. Some of the grades have seen it already about times and locations for next week's team formation. So they'll send it out again this weekend just to make sure that everybody has a second communication about it. But that's kind of where it is. 5th grade, we're still working on the times because some of our coaches have to do conferences because they're teachers. And so we're trying to work on some of those times. So that information will come out shortly and be solidified for you very shortly as far as where the team formation is. And it's obviously on Monday and Tuesday. And then 5th grade will continue to practice out of Iroquois. And 6, 7, and 8 will all practice out of Grand Rapids Christian Middle School. And then our league, how many teams are in the league? Man, that's a good question. We put 3 teams in. Some schools put 2 teams in. Some schools combine with 3 other schools to make 1 team because they don't have enough kids at their school. So I believe that we have about 12 to 15 teams per grade. Our school and Ada usually contribute 2 to 3 per grade level. And then other schools sometimes contribute 2 teams as well. But usually we have about 10 to 15 teams per grade level. We play 8 games, so you don't play everyone. It's not a round robin. You play 8 games, and then once that's done, they seed you and put you in a gold bracket or a silver bracket for the final tournament, meaning the top teams in the league play by record, play in the gold, and the teams that have the worst records, they play in the silver division, and they play for a championship. So each grade level has 2 championships once the tournament rolls around. But it's kind of like, hey, you get the luck of the draw in your 8 games for who you play. You don't play everyone.